Have you ever asked yourself whether or not you have to choose a lane to be successful? I know I've had, is what society tells us to do. But what if I tell you that it is possible for you to be a multifaceted, multi-passionate, successful woman and man? Today, my guest, Natasha Ickes and myself are going to talk about the turns and roads that we've taken to discover that it is okay for you to be all you are. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to Leading Intentionally, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of leadership transformation. I am Carmen Paredes, your guide in this journey, and I'm so thrilled to have you with us today. In each episode, we share strategies, insights, and stories to help you drive growth, enhance workplace culture, and lead with intentionality. Whether you are a seasoned executive, an aspired leader, or just someone passionate about positivity in the workplace, this podcast is for you. Each week, I'll bring you conversations with thought leaders, experts, and trailblazers that will share with you their insights, wisdom, and experiences so that you can apply these practical tips to your leadership journey. Get ready to explore topics like inclusive leadership, women's empowerment, effective communication, and so much more. If you're ready to lead intentionally and make lasting impact in your organization, you are in the right place. Let's embark in this transformative leadership journey together. This is Leading Intentionally. Let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to this episode of Living Intentionally. I'm so excited because today we have a real treat here. 2 times best-selling author, 4 times TEDx speaker, owner of Shear Passion Salon since 2012, and founder of Manifesting Miracles. Natasha has been a multi-passionate entrepreneur her entire adult life. Her degrees and certificates range from sociology and professional communication certification through Harvard Extension School to Reiki and Cosmetology. Her hairstyles have landed in Munaluchi Bridal, which is the largest bridal magazine for women of color. She has written articles for multiple publications, such as LA Tribune and Hudson Weekly. Her memoir won 3 awards in the first year of their publication, and she's spoken at conferences all over the world. However, her deepest love has been uplifting and empowering others. This includes regularly providing free haircuts for homeless, which led her to receiving a Certificate of Congressional Recognition. She's also a mentor for young women of color, running workshops designed to help them overcome the unique challenges they face in today's society, whether through her salon, coaching, or mentorship. She is committed to helping people actualize their purpose and step into the next version of themselves. Welcome to the show, Natasha.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. You are amazing. It's an honor to be able to see you again. Oh my gosh. Let me just tell you guys really quick before we jump into everything else. So Carmen and I met when we were doing a TEDx recently in Zimbabwe. And she got up and we were at like this dinner with everybody. And they were just like, okay, you're going to get up and you're going to speak first. And she got up and she spoke. And I was like, OMG, I am not going after this woman. And she was so kind to be like, no, we all have something special, which we do. But Carmen brings something amazing. Just every time she speaks and pours into you, it's like you can hear a pin drop. So when I got invited to be here, I was super excited because she is literally one of my most favorite people in the world. So thank you for having me.
I have so many goosebumps going right now because it's such an honor to get that recognition from someone like Natasha, which, by the way, I want to make sure I pronounce your last name right because I'm famous for that. Like, if I didn't, please correct. And
it's okay. It's Natasha Ickes, but people have been saying it wrong my whole life. It does not bother me at all.
But, Natasha, it's my turn to say, she's an amazing speaker. She stood in that stage and, her entire personality, the entire message, the entire delivery I didn't hear any pin drop either through the whole time, other than the audience clapping and laughing when it was appropriate. And it was just such amazing. And the person behind it is amazing. You know, one of the best things that happened when we went to Zimbabwe is that we really got to know each other, and we were connected sort of before. So it was great to be able to have that, certainty in the uncertain, right? Because we're flying to the other side of the world, and my luggage got lost, and all those stuff that you've heard. But we really connected, and we got to see the people behind this speaker. And that's the most important thing. That's what makes the powerful connection with the audience, is being able
Yeah.
to just to be human, to be real, and rely and support each other. So she is amazing. Everything that the bio says, it's like I can attest. Yeah. And I wanted to definitely like bring her in the show, because when I heard her talk, which by the way, the link for her TEDx is gonna be here. She has 4 people. Like, I am going to like put them all here so you can watch them. But the first one is the one we want you to watch, which is the one we're gonna be talking about right this now. And she's talking about being multi passionate, and I know for me in my life that spoke so deeply, because I have been conditioned before I, you know, unravel myself from the life conditioning to, you have to do these 3 things if you want to be successful. Nothing outside that realm is going to get you anywhere, even though my soul was fighting to
Mm.
want to do something else, like speak.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted ever to do, is to be a speaker. And so you gave me permission. I mean, for the last 3 years, I've given permission myself, but the confirmation
Yeah.
of your message was so nurturing to my soul. And I know it will be for the audience too. So let's talk about a little bit of your journey, how you got there, without spoiling the TEDx, because I want people to go watch it. But you have a story there that it's like so touching, because it's real, right?
Thank you. Yeah. And actually, some of the deeper parts of what set me on this journey, I talk about more in my first TEDx and not as much in this one. But really, I feel like our challenges are a gift, right? We're all given these very unique challenges that are meant to bring out the aspects of our personalities that we need to get to really like live our fullest potential. And so for me as a kid growing up, I was raised by my dad, and having my mom kind of in and out really was hard for me when I was younger. So I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety. And my first suicide attempt, I was 9 years old. My second suicide attempt, I was 16, around 16 years old. And this one left me hospitalized. And I actually don't mention that at all in this talk. But really, when I came out of there, well, actually, I talk about this young lady who I saw, a beautiful young lady. Long story short, she attempted suicide and was left with these permanent brain damage and these challenges to where she would never be able, or the doctor said they didn't foresee her being able to come out of it. And I just had this moment and this realization where I said, things have been hard, right? Things have been hurtful, but I've been so stuck and so focused on the bad that I haven't allowed myself to see the beauty that's around me. And I need to take advantage of the fact that I'm still healthy, I'm still thriving, I'm in my right mind. And so even though I spent years struggling with addiction and homelessness, and I mean, I fought tooth and nail to get out of that. When I finally like got myself out of the muck, I was like, I spent so long just sad and depressed that I am determined to live. And when I say live, I'm living life to its fullest. And for me, that meant more than one thing. It could be a hair salon, it could be writing a book, it could be traveling and love and marriage and spending time with my kids, and even divorce when it led me to that. And all those things were okay because this is the life that we have. And I am determined to live whatever I have left to its fullest.
That's so beautiful, because many times people just stuck themselves because they are not stuck. They actually put themselves in a situation of stuckness because they are afraid to disappoint people outside of their lives. But you only have one life to live, and you don't have tomorrow guaranteed. So what if tomorrow never comes, right? Like that song from Garth Brooks, actually, like when I heard, I was 15 years old. The very first time I came to the US on a girlfriend trip to Dallas.
Yeah.
places, or worse. Anyhow, I heard that song and it really touched me. What if there is no time tomorrow?
Mm,
And that has been kind of my motto. Like, I always tell my kids every time they leave the house, I love you. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to see them again. And it's not like you're wishing upon that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like, no regrets. I like to live
Yep.
my life like with no regrets. And if that
Taking
leads to
every
making
moment.
decisions, which is weeding people out of your life or moving on or, quitting a job or starting a new business, so be it.
Yeah, you actually said something really important, a lot of important things, but something that stood out to me too is, yes, we don't want to live with any regrets and we don't know what's going to happen, but also you talked about, disappointing other people or other people's opinions. And I think that, that is a huge part, like years after I was through these kind of depressive episodes and all these kind of challenging things that I was, or life has its challenges, right? But when I got through like my addiction, my homelessness, and all that, and so I made this new name for myself. I'm a hairstylist, I'm a salon owner, I'm this, that, and the other. And then when I did decide that I wanted to do something else, when I started having this calling in my spirit and my soul to expand and step outside of my box, I had those moments too where I was kind of scared of what other people would think. I was
Mhm.
scared of the possibility of public failure. And I hear that from a lot of people. It's just like people see you in a certain way and you're scared to step out of it. But it's like, this is your life. It's the one that you have to live. You've got to go for it. And I've never heard anybody go after a dream and regret it.
Right. Right. No. And taking advantage that you are spiritual too.
Mhm.
Uh I've been doing the Gene Keys program with Richard Broad. I don't know if you know what it is, but it really goes into analyzing the core wounds that are in your DNA, and we all have them.
Mm.
And one of them that I have been contemplating, and they are like in your face, like there's no way to deny, like, oh yes, this is something I have to
Wow.
do, right? And so one of the core ones I've been contemplating, it starts like on your third 7-year cycle. So 14 to 21 is when this imprint happens in your life, and it's the fear of failure.
Mm.
And he does a beautiful job questioning what failure really is. Is failure really not having the social status, or is the ultimate failure not living your dreams? And when
Oh,
you look at it that way, it's like, oh well,
yeah.
right? Because you can always make money,
Yep.
and it's a perception, right? It's like, well, you're doing it because you want to pretend to be somebody, right? Like you're trying to
Yeah.
fit like a
Yeah.
category, but
Checking
it's
the
not
boxes of what you're supposed to do, right?
that, right.
Society's version of success. Even for me, and this is a little different than, multi-passionate when we're talking about like career-wise, right? Or hobbies. But when we're talking about checking these boxes, for me, and I think just a society in general, marriage is one of those boxes you're supposed to check. And so I was married with my now soon to be ex-husband for 10 years. And when I got ready to leave that marriage because it was no longer serving either one of us, right? We just weren't a good fit anymore. I was so scared of what people were going to think because
Mhm.
to me, that was a part of my success. You're
Right.
a business owner, you're a mother, you
Yes.
are financially well enough off, you buy homes and you're married and you're this and you're that. And it was like, you know what? Um, I have to listen to my spirit and my soul. And I cannot stay in anything that doesn't feel right to me anymore. And there have just been so many blessings coming out of that that were just confirmation after confirmation that you're on the right path. And I think that happens anytime that we're able to kind of like quiet those fears and doubts and insecurities and just take a leap of faith in whatever it is that we feel we're being called to do next.
Uh, that's so on point. And one of the things I talk about is intuition. And people's like, oh, yeah,
Mm.
that's so woo-woo. No, it's not. Because actually, if you go and listen to Steve Jobs, he actually mentions intuition like 7 or 8 times into how
Wow.
this is how he was able to decide what path. He was listening to his soul. He was listening to his intuition call. It's pretty fascinating. You can
Yeah.
actually Google how many times he said it, and it will tell you because that's the world we
Wow.
live in. But it's like, yeah, it might not be out there so much yet,
Mhm.
but it is something that we all have access, and it's basically your soul telling you, take a right, make a
Yep.
left, go straight, don't do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And we are so busy doing and not being
Yeah.
that we don't hear it.
Yep.
But once you learn to hear that voice inside you, it will guide you. It
Yeah.
will guide you, and it will give you permission to be who you are meant to be.
And we take in and encounter so much information. I mean, I don't know the exact stats on it, but there's so much information that's coming in all the time that we can't always intellectually process and remember, but it's coming into our systems. And so that gut, we have all these nerves, and I've been reading these books on the gut brain connection, gut brain health, and all this different stuff. But beyond all of that, just that feeling, and when you learn to listen to it and learn to recognize it, and it consistently gets stronger and stronger, you will find that it will open the doors you're meant to go through, and it will close the ones that they're trying to save you from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have to think, Natasha, that if there is people listening to both of us here, it has to be a percentage of them who perhaps are curious, like how these two women made it to Zimbabwe and did a TEDx. And I mean, she has four. I'm applying for my next one, so there's more coming. But like, how do you go from, you know, being a hairstylist to being a professional speaker?
You know what is so beautiful about us sitting here and talking today, and any of you that are listening that are curious about it, is we have such different backgrounds, right? So Carmen's background is the only type of background that I thought would lead a person to be able to have the credibility to speak on a TEDx stage, right? Coming from a corporate America, having, I believe you have your master's degree, correct? Yeah, having your master's degree, right? You have climb the corporate ladder, and as a Latin woman, often being the only one in the space blazing and creating these trails and pathways for other people. There's doctors that have come on. I think we've had a few lawyers that have come on. And so the first TEDx that I did, well, let me back up a little bit. What started this? I heard that little voice, that intuition. It was during COVID. My salon shut down, and something said, write a book. I've always obsessively read books. I literally have 3 right here that I'm currently reading. I just love to read. And I always said, whenever I retire, I'll have time to write. Well, the world was shut down for about 9 months, so I had time to write. So I wrote the book.
Let me retire you so you can fulfill your purpose. That's what I really told you, right?
I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I was scared. And I've actually come to learn that when I'm scared, when I'm going after something new, that's such a good sign that I'm not playing it safe, and that I'm doing something that's going to like break through and take me to the next dimension. Mm-hmm. So I wrote the book and then started being asked to speak different places just to promote it. And somebody mentioned that it's these seeds that people drop. Somebody mentioned, I used to work for TEDx Talks. I volunteered with them doing whatever he was doing, and I think you should do one. And I was like, me? Like never crossed my mind. Mm-hmm. Long story short, I started applying, and then I ended up doing my first talk. And now I've done 4, but I never thought that I, with my background, would be able to come in and give a talk. And what I found is that we are all an expert in something. And as long as you're being authentic and being true about your story, your knowledge, your expertise, and what you bring to the table, you will touch the people that you're meant to.
And let me actually give a twist to that. I never thought my story was interesting, dramatic, or transformational enough, and that anybody wanted to put up with my accent. So even though my entire life I wanted to do a TED Talk, I never thought I'd belong there. And this is where we have in common a coach, and this is why she gave me everything I needed, in the sense that she was doing it, right? She's a Latina, amazing woman with 5 TEDx. Natasha is getting there. It's getting there. And I was like, oh, wow. She not only have an accent, but she actually she speaks part of the thing in Spanish. And I'm like, I can do it too.
Yes.
And so, but it's interesting, right? Because I guess the moral here is that you never think you're good enough to do it.
Yes.
And you just got to get over yourself and do it.
Yep. There'll always be a reason. There's always a reason why not. And there's always a reason why too. right? So no matter what, we're always going to have somebody else that we perceive as being more well spoken or having more degrees or being more pretty or whatever these things are that we think in our heads that don't matter at all, you know? And then when you step out, you realize that your specific story and your specific message told the way that only you can tell it will reach people that I can't reach, that Carmen can't reach, that our coach can't reach, right? We are all meant to divinely touch different people, which I'll say really quickly. When people talk a lot about your legacy, right? And what legacy do you want to leave behind? That's been a big thing lately. And I think a lot of people get that kind of confused with like fame, right? Like, oh, like what stage can I be on? And a stage may be what takes you there because you can reach more people. But to me, your legacy is truly the amount of lives that you touch and change for the better. And so TED's a great platform because it simply allowed you to spread your message with more people.
Yeah, no, it's and sure, it might take you 100 applications to get there. I don't know how many it took
Yeah.
your first time, but it took me 90.
Yeah. I don't
And you
even
know
know,
what?
but I don't even think I stopped counting around like 80, but I didn't go past 100 because I knew that was like, okay, maybe I need to do some tweaking if we make
Yeah,
it there. But it was a lot.
yeah.
It was a lot.
For me, it was 90. You know what? It's pretty funny because they're actually, the time we're filming this is May 2nd, and tomorrow is the TEDx in my town, which I apply and I didn't get accepted.
Yeah.
But this is how divine, guidance happened, right? Tomorrow I'm gonna go there, support, and I have connected with the speakers already. If
Yeah.
there's anything they need, because I live in Alaska, so it's not a place that people know where to get stuff. But I'm gonna go there already as a TED speaker, right? Like, and so it's like, sure, I had to cross the pond to get there, but everything works the way it's supposed to, and
So much.
determination and perseverance is such a great, you know attribute that everyone can use. And so if it teaches you, if it teaches you that, so be it, right?
It's so true. You know, it reminds me even like when I talk about my kids' sports and I'm like, all the life lessons you learn in sports. Well, same thing with this because it's not easy. People look at it and think, oh, somebody invited you to come speak and you get on a stage and just, say whatever comes to mind. And now you have 5 million followers. Like it is not like that for most people. It does happen that way for
Yeah,
some, but it's
yeah,
very, very rare. So my first talk, because I talked about the suicide and I talked about my homelessness and addiction and all these challenging things, it was very sensitive topics. And so
mhm,
mine took a little bit longer to be approved. So for those of you that don't know how it works, essentially, if you give a TEDx talk at a local event, they then submit your video to the TED platform and it has to be approved before it makes it online. So mine took almost a year to be approved. In that time, I was like, I'm not giving up on my dreams. Like now that I've decided I want to do it,
yeah.
I'm going to do it. So
I'm
I
gonna do
started
another one.
applying to
Yes.
tons of talks. And so I got accepted to one and the talk fell through. The whole event got canceled. Then I did another talk. I'm not even going to go through all the things that happened because it's a lot in this space. But long story short, if my first talk would have went up smoothly, I truly believe I only would have done one. But because it took a year to get approved, it set me on this snowball effect where I ended up getting to do four. And so it's just that perseverance opens up so many doors that you just can't
Yeah.
get through if you give up.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking before we came live about bringing up diversity and opening up stages for people that are not the typical speaker, right? My second talk, well, unless someone invites me, I mean, if someone invites me, I have talks ready to go. I have three
Yeah.
keynotes. I can make it TEDx out of that, of course, without repeating it. But my next talk that I'm intentionally applying for is going to be in Spanish. Why? Because
Mhm.
that's my native language and I want to do it. And
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize the impact that my talk was going to have on people back home. I have gone in so many. I wish they would put it in actually the YouTube. So if you're watching this, you can help Natasha and I by watching the whole talk. And if you feel inclined, leave a comment and like right there because it helped us to get it to more people.
Yeah.
This is never about ego. The topics that we're talking about is they are meant to serve people, and
Yeah.
the only way we can reach the people we need to reach is by people like you helping us get it out there.
Yeah.
But I've gotten comments from high school friends, people who haven't talked in 40 years too, of
Mm,
how proud they are. Because I'm from Panama, I'm not from the US, right? So I
yeah.
went to Zimbabwe to do a TEDx in English when I'm from Panama, right? And I never realized that was going to have impact on people back then,
Yeah.
right? And so now I want to do it in my mother tongue because I feel like that's my next step.
Mm,
Also because I'm fluent in both languages, and I want
yeah.
to also for my kids too, right? Like this is
Yeah.
also for my kids. Um, but it is interesting. It's like we want to bring diversity. Like I love to follow speakers who talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, we have to hear the stories of the underdog
Yeah.
because that's most people. It's just like they are not used to speak up.
Yeah.
And now we live in a world where you can just grab your cell phone, get your TikTok or your Instagram, and start speaking.
It's so important. I mean, that's how we grow together as humanity, as communities, as individuals, whether it's closer relationships, whether it's with your spouse or your children or your school or your job or on a bigger platform, right? It's you cannot insulate yourself with voices and people that sound and look and talk
Mhm.
and think exactly like you because you won't ever learn or grow.
Mhm.
I've obsessively read memoirs since I was a child. Like I love them. I'm always watching documentaries. I just watched this movie, Unsung Hero, a few days ago. Me and my 8-year-old son were both crying in there. True story. You got to go see it. But the reason why I love these stories so much is because I learn so much about different people from all over the world. I
Mhm.
read the book of Malala and her, fighting for injustice and the right to teach girls to learn and to read and to write, and all these different people from all over the world. So just like you, I love following people that are highlighting voices that we don't normally get to hear. And I think that that makes us better people and better friends and just, yeah, makes for a better world.
Yeah. So, with that said, what are the topics that you speak about? Like, if someone is watching this right now, it's like, oh my God, I need to invite Natasha and Carmen to my
Yes.
conference. What are the topics that you um, offer to? Yeah.
Yeah, so the top three, one, I focus on resilience, but more specifically, like how to navigate transitions and changes. And so that can be whether I'm speaking to a group of divorced women, whether I'm speaking to a corporation that's going through some big changes and they're trying to bring their employees together. And so that moves in different ways. And then I also speak on entrepreneurship. I've owned a hair salon
Yeah.
for 12 years, been a hairstylist for almost 18 at this point. So that's been what I've done my entire adult life. And so actually those are really the main two that I talk on is really the resilience and then the entrepreneurship.
Yeah. No,
And of
that's great.
course, my most recent talk, which is, how to be successful with multiple passions, that infuses in everything that I do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, Natasha, what's next for you?
Wow, you know what? I love TEDx's, but that is not up next for me. I am tired. No, honestly, I have a few different talks coming up. I'm super excited. I got a possible opportunity to speak in Hawaii, but really, I'm doing some revamping and some rebranding. Like when I sit down and I think, how can I help the most people? How can I be the most effective in helping people through these changes and transitions in their life? It gets me to, doing some thinking. So I have a program that's going to be coming out probably this summer. And I'm going to have two components, one that helps corporations and one that helps individuals. So that's what's next.
Ooh, so we have to stay tuned. And so, when people want to be in your radar, in your bubble, so they can hear when that comes out, what's the best way for them to do that?
So my last name is super unique. So I always say Natasha Ickes. If you look that up, you will find me across every platform: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm not really active on TikTok, but I do have a little page with like one post on there. And of course, my website and all that. And I also have a book coming out later on this year. So yeah, there'll be some fun stuff. And I just love to connect with people. So please.
Three times best-selling author.
I know. It's so much work, but it's so incredibly worth it.
Uh, are we too early to give a little spoiler of what the book is going to be about?
You know what? It's going to touch on the really navigating those transitions, like moving through the most challenging periods of your life and doing it with resilience, doing it with ease, and doing it with grace.
Ooh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to read it. That is I am so happy we connected in
Me
Zimbabwe.
too.
I am so happy we took the time to support each other,
Yes.
and that, she was the biggest cheerleader for all the speakers. So much to learn. It just shows the kind of person you are, and that's why
Oh,
I am
thank you.
so happy to have you here. And oh my God, she has the most well behaved, amazing, smart. Is he 9 or 8? Is it 8?
He's 8.
I mean, I have a 9-year-old, and I couldn't comprehend. Like, in my wildest dream, I could take him. I mean, he will. When he saw my talk, he's like, "Mom, when I'm gonna be part of your audience?" He doesn't know that. He
Oh,
doesn't know that Junior was there.
yeah.
But there is no way I could expect him to sit there through the rehearsals, through the whole event. People, this was 8 to 5.
Yeah.
The dinners, the conversations. I mean, he was such a trooper.
I know. I tell him, I've told him, thank you so much. I have honestly received emails, text messages of people just complimenting him. And I'm just so grateful. He's fun. And so, like, he was very quiet in that space. So that was definitely the side of him you got to see. But like on the breaks, him and I would be outside racing in the grass. Like, my
Yeah.
kids are my friends, and me not having necessarily had that growing up, I wanted to make sure I created that for my children. So I feel so blessed.
So, anyways, I hope to see more of Junior soon. You
Absolutely.
welcome to Alaska anytime you want to come. And I miss the Bay Area, so I might come see you there. And I can't wait to share a stage with you in the future again.
Yay. I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me. You are amazing. It was an honor and a joy to be able to sit here and talk to you again.
Thank you so much. So we're gonna put all the links for Natasha in the comments. We're gonna put the TEDx links, so you don't have to do any work. Just click and go watch.
Click.
And yes, very easy. And you know the drill. Until next time, remember to lead intentionally. Bye bye.
Bye.